Hi, my name is Ruslan Strajnik, and today I am the participant of the Selenium Camp conference. And my presentation was called Selenium in the life of day-to-day testing, practical aspects. He is the maintainer of it. What is the role of continuous integration? So it gives us the whole picture of what is going on in the project. What is running, what is failed, what's not. How we use Selenium in continuous integration. There is a Jenkins Selenium plugin, and there are other plugins that could help with test report, xUnit violation, test coverage, rebuild, a lot of repository connectors. For example, if we have a bunch of test files and test data, and we have many configurations, so we could have like custom job for Jenkins. And here in this example, I could configure everything I want. So I could choose a browser, version, platform, and choose a test name what I want to run. So this specifically when I want to test only one part of code. For example, I ran the whole suite of regression tests, and something is failed. So I just create a separate job that I could build to test only one test with only one data. So what is Jenkins? That was talking about. So it's developers who communicate with Jenkins and the test team. They see what's happening, what's the results, and behind it there's test tools, nosetests, and G. It could be anything that has a result of what Jenkins accepts xUnit standard and so XML files. When we have good XML result, we could see what happened. We could use it for a lot of jobs. We could create a lot of jobs for example, there's building jobs, update application jobs, and functional testing, regression testing. So it's not only for the test automation, it's for developers also. Want to read about Jenkins? There's a good book. So about Selenium. There's Selenium Hub, who connects with the old have Selenium Hub running. It's a server, and the other nodes connect to it through the JSON wire protocol. We could have as much machines as we want. We could have Firefox on Windows, Internet Explorer on Windows, Safari on Mac, or the same Firefox on Linux. And if you have a good configuration, we could easily configure it through Jenkins. Then we could run anything we want. What gives Jenkins Selenium plugin? It's almost as built-in. It's easy to install, but has console output. But what is bad with it that if you want a newer Selenium Grid version, we have to update it by ourselves. Also, let's picture how it runs. So here I see what's new with Selenium Grid version, and have a number of machines. So everyone is connected to the other port. Here I have Google, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and they all are different machines. So I only submit on, I only tell what platform and what browser I want, and test will run on that machine. So I can have as many machines as I want, and as many browser and operating system configuration as I want. But when we do this all installation and configuration, it's not working by all at once. So there's a lot of problems with specific browser configuration. For example, Firefox needs sometimes to have separate profile. If you just create new one and place to the folder, and I will show it later. Also, Google Chrome driver also needs to be run separately. So when we do it by Selenium Grid, Google Chrome will not start immediately. You have to configure it. So tune up different browsers and to work on this one environment can be a hard nut. That's an example how I configure Selenium in Selenium Grid for Firefox 10, and I have specific profile which is placed on my Windows machine. I also tell that I want specifically version 10, and I can have another profile with version 9 or with version 11. So I could I could test specifically on this version and no one else. And for Chrome driver, it's also should be placed in a separate directory. And when I hit that I want Chrome on Windows, so it will run technically on this machine. There are also like some issues with CSL certificates. For example, when we use some product, it could be an issue that Selenium can't handle this certificate. It's untrusted, so we could just use option true. Everyone will want. And also, here is part of code when I use desired capabilities so I could bypass any browser, any platform through the web driver when I started. So it's browser supporting. Browser supporting is difficult because you can write tests that runs perfectly on Firefox, but they will fail on Internet Explorer. Well, it happens because of different CSS structure files and also different behavior how the browser is built. So a lot of issues could be, and for example, Internet Explorer just runs slowly. It's rather slower than Firefox, so you have to deal with waits. You have like trade-offs for it. So there's no solution to do it like perfectly, and nothing is done from the start. You have to configure it. You have to see how your project is working on different browsers. So you could start with the easier one, implement tests and run on Firefox, and then if you have some problems, you just fix it for browser by browser, for example, Chrome and then Internet Explorer. So as I mentioned, different CSS and XPath for Windows. And also, I had some issues when the same browser, like Firefox 10, runs differently on Windows and on Linux. Why it happens? Because of different JavaScript libraries written for Windows and different for Linux. So you could have your test run well on Linux, but on Windows it will fail on the same browser. So, and nowadays even proxy is supported, so you could have your browser run on your demilitarized zone, and anything will run. You just bypass your proxy to the driver, will handle it. As for universal framework for xUnit test run, for me it's Nose. Nose framework, it supports Python, and it overrides Python unit test and have a lot of possibilities to run many tests only once, or run only one test, and give XML output through standard plugins. This is a typical command running test. This I bypass port, platform, browser, also test data file and test file. And in the result, I have XML file, which Jenkins reads, and then I see results. So nosetests for Python is good for, it has a lot of third-party plugins, test config, so I can bypass as many test config files for one test as I want. But when we do in-house testing, when we do we have a lot of tests, a lot of browsers. As on the previous presentation was told, that when we have a lot of tests, a lot of browsers to do, so it runs slow on our machines. We can't handle as much computer power as we want. For example, we have to run 100 of tests, or maybe 1,000 of tests. And our server, and even we have a powerful server, sometimes it will be rather slow for us. And then we want to buy a new server, or we could use a cloud. So how we could integrate Selenium with the cloud? There are a lot of solutions. Some of them as software as a service. Some of them are platform as a service. For example, you could use, whether you want, when we need to have a cloud service, I think every major project sometime will definitely need cloud, because the number of tests will raise, and if you want good server base, it's expensive for you, because to handle all the servers, the clusters, buying new, I think it's expensive and hard to support. And when you have a startup or your team is remote, and there is no place to settle the servers, and definitely have them somewhere. And also, the solution for it is have cloud testing. There are a lot of cloud providers, like Amazon, Rackspace, Google App Engine, and also Microsoft has services. So, what to tell about software as a service? the software that runs on cloud, you just have an API for it. You use that API like your WebDriver. You just bypass all your passports to your server, and it runs there. The typical example is Source Labs. Okay, Source Labs could be browser mob. Browser mob is done for load testing. That's a load testing. What's good of it? It has a lot of computing power, and you can run your web application on a lot of simultaneous browsers, a lot of users. What is the performance of it? You can see on this picture. So a lot of simultaneous sessions, a lot of simulated HTTP traffic. So hard to do it by your own infrastructure. So when you need such a performance, you have to have a lot of long servers which run JMeter and a lot of computer power. So you could just use browser mob, and has Selenium API. So you could write your functional tests and then convert it to load tests. When you have a traditional testing, it could be JMeter, Grinder, Python. So takes time to build on all of this infrastructure, and as I told, a lot of computer power. How the browser mob do? It has a distributed server farm, which runs on the internet, an app server, database server. You have a lot of performance reporting, and when you run your tests, you could see all the metrics, all the reports, and also you could watch video files which are recorded. So error parsing is also great. Mesh is badly, so it's non-free, and you are dependent on this service provider. Source Labs. Source Labs is a derivative product from Jason Huggins, and also a bunch of really good test engineers. What it's doing? So it's like it does functional testing, but all the browsers are on their side. So you don't really have to think about configuration, don't think about amount of servers, how to configure them. You just write your code, and you just use the same API that you connect to WebDriver. You just bypass through it, pass their logins and passwords, and you use everything is run on their lab. And what you have on the output, you have videos, you have results. Shining Panda. Shining Panda is a continuous integration tool for Jenkins. So it's you could have a Jenkins build. You pay for it, and you could easily install it. You could easily create your projects, all the test jobs to their server. It supports Python, it supports Nose, Selenium. So you don't want to, if you don't want to install your own Jenkins, you could use Shining Panda. Also a lot of software, a lot of open source projects are out there. Is it really fast? Yes, so these services provide a lot of service is great, so but you have to pay for it. For example, if you want, talking about Source Labs, so for $49, they have 100 minutes and 4 parallel tests per month. And for $279, they give 8,000 of paid minutes of their test runs, and so it could be 32 simultaneous test runs. So it's a new project is great and big, have to pay a lot of money. But you could do, if you want really to see the picture, to configure well, you should do it by yourself. So the traditional way is using cloud, have your own cloud environment. And there are providers, for example, Rackspace. We use Rackspace and Amazon. How Rackspace used? So it's Unix machines that are virtualized. You have full access to them, SSH control. You could do everything you want with them. You could configure them as you like, have as much working hours, working minutes as you want. What is bad with it? So that you have to support it by yourself, continuously update them, and integrate with your own environment. There is a tool called CF Engine to control it. Not exactly knowing, I do not know exactly how it works, but like beyond investigating about it. So it's a typical do-it-yourself instrument. So a lot of instruments you have. Once you have your own cloud environment, you can do everything you want. So you pay only for monthly hosting, and you could switch from your local build environment to your cloud. What's bad with it that it's hard to support it. It's market engineers, and also takes a lot of time to build a good infrastructure. For example, Rackspace cloud servers, they provide 80 gigabyte disk, 2 gigabyte of RAM server, just for $87 per month. If you want more, just pay more, twice as much of it. So for me, what's the ideal QA environment? When I have Jenkins CI, when I have xUnit framework, Selenium Grid, multiple browser and operating system support, and cloud services. Questions?
Victor Malin from Trust Ukraine. Do you have any exact numbers regarding the economy that cloud has brought to you, that cloud solutions, test execution has brought to your project compared with in-house data center or in-house servers?
Thank you for the question. Can't answer you exactly, but what we have in our local environment, we have like two servers that have our application, continuous integration server, and for example, we have stable version, beta version, and unstable. And everything is on one server, and we lose time every time. Every time is when somebody commits the code, we have update application, and we have like 2 Apache servers that runs on the same server. It's rather poses the QA work, and I think I can't really tell you how much it economizes, but I will see it through the through future when I will definitely know the answer about it. For after 1 year, I will know about it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Alexander Serapapa, Sigma Training Hydrogen. I just wanted to ask you, have you had an experience with mobile project automatization, and especially have you used Android driver, and does it worth using, or is it better to use Chrome driver? Thank you.
Thank you. No, unfortunately not. We haven't actually have a mobile version of our application, and haven't used Android or Chrome version. But I think it's worth trying to use Android automation. So you when you could easily integrate your Android test runs in your CI. So I think if you have mobile applications, so definitely need to have testing for it. You could use Android.
Hello. Thank you for your report. It was very interesting. We have got the common picture of continuous integration. Maybe you can share us your own approaches to figure what tool should be used in maybe in every situation. For example, for average QA, if he's thinking to use continuous integration in Jenkins or something like that, he has a number of tools to use. So what interesting places or something like that he should pay his attention when he's choosing continuous integration?
Thank you. Interesting question. I think you should really pay attention to reporting, how the results show. So if you have good result parser, it's great. It's great to have good result parser. Also, whether this CI integration system supports a lot of languages, a lot of integration with different CDS or SVN or Git. So if you have a lot of plugins that use anything of it, for example, some projects have run on Git, some of them has repository on SVN, and Jenkins provides all of the plugins. So as I know, anything is supported. Also, pay attention. I think the importance is also the collaboration platform. Jenkins is great because of it easily can report Jira tickets, and if build success or build fails, you could have this updated to your Jira system, and you will receive an email whether it's failed or succeeded. And I think it's great. Also, a lot of plugins. So, for example, for Jenkins, you have a really big amount of plugins. Test coverage, build configuration. Also, you could even connect your VMware server to Jenkins. provide nodes through the Jenkins. So I think I really don't know another good CI as Jenkins.
Thank you. I have a question about source labs. Maybe actually two questions. The first one is I have some compilation unit as this set of my tests as a compilation unit like data. So I then, as I understood, I should give them my data, right, with all, and then they will run my tests on their side, right?
No. For source labs, you just submit as a just show you. So for source labs, you just submit their server as a host name, their port, and the URL of your application. You only have to have that when you register to source, you receive the login and password, and you just use their server environment for you.
Okay. Then if in case my site that is under the test is like is located at some private VPN, then how do they deal if they deal with it somehow?
I think that should be a custom solution. You have to work with their support whether they offer this. For example, yeah, it could be an issue for running your tests there. But if you want a VPN connection to your cloud environment, so it's better to use Rackspace. For example, in our test lab, we have VPN connection with our cloud servers and local environment. So I have Jenkins on my cloud, and it runs tests on my local machines.
No, it's clear with the cloud, but with source labs, do they?
I don't really know.
Okay. And the last question on Selenium official site, there is a message like source labs provides an enterprise support for Selenium. So the question is, okay, if I download the latest version of Selenium and I've got an issue there, like okay, clip doesn't work at IE, and if I face with this similar or the same, totally the same issue with IE on their side, if they track issues and fix them in some way.
Yeah, they track issues. They have good support engineers. What I was doing, it was like a demo project, so it ran perfectly. They give, fortunately I can't show you, but they give the video for every test you want. So your test runs, and you see how browser starts, login performs, and some actions, and when the point of failing, you could see it. And for support, they support the newest versions. They try to support the newest versions as they can. So when you have like official version of 2.19, they also support it. And typically issues are common. When you have issues there, so it seems like some issues with Selenium, with like click doesn't work somewhere.
But they don't want to fix it, right? They just like
they also support Selenium, I think. They have the engineers that try to collaborate with Selenium developers. So
thank you.
Hi, my name is Tima.
Thank you for your great job. I have a practical question. For example, I have a Jenkins integration system with my Selenium test, and it works well when I run them manually by a run button in Jenkins, but sometimes I face the problem when it works as a scheduled job at night. It fails for some reasons. For example, as far as I see from logs, it can't find some element on the page, or I have some old version of the Selenium Receipt test, and it can't find the Selenium Receipt server instance run. And how could you suggest some approach? How can I find the reason of similar problems? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question. I also face this problem every time. But it's not like, what is the solution for it? Have a dedicated server for Jenkins, dedicated server for your QA build or build version. So if you really know that your server runs just CI and you have a good lab of nodes, different machines, and you really know that nothing stacks this. The typical stack could be, for example, if you use the same machine for manual testing and for automation testing. And the server environment is slow. Somebody is doing, for example, Ivan is doing some manual testing, and he just hit the button to search, for example, a big query, and at the same time you run your load test and it fails because it doesn't support. Also, you're talking about that some instance could not start. Yes, typically it's because of weight problem. Selenium now have two weights. Like you can use implicit weight or explicit weight. Implicit weight is when you it's just waits every time the action is performed. For example, you just give that driver implicitly wait 3, and it will hold 3 seconds, and any action will do only after 3 seconds. And you could use explicit wait for waiting for some action, or it could really help you when you have like the script is asynchronous and you expect something to be on the screen. You could use this approach. Did they answer?
Michael Himich, KMB, Hudson. Actually, as I understood, you have a universal framework for your tests. Actually, do you have some specific objects, maybe base buttons or something else for Internet Explorer? And do you have 100% pass on Internet Explorer? Thank you.
Typically, tests that run on Firefox, they do not run 100% on Internet Explorer. There is a, for example, a click problem when you definitely know that you hit click once, and Firefox typically responds it properly 100%, but Internet Explorer will sometimes respond, sometimes not. So, unfortunately, you have to maintain Internet Explorer independently. You have to, if you want good runs on Internet Explorer, you have to focus on it. So you should either choose if you want to cover Internet Explorer with automated tests, or maybe just it's better to use someone manually to test your application through Internet Explorer. Maybe it's a better choice not to mess with it.
Hi, my name is Andrew, and my question is about stability. And my question includes Internet Explorer program implicitly. How often do you need to restart your nodes? I mean that, you know, with this Internet Explorer, any little glitch cause a node hangs out. It hangs out really often. Thank you.
Thank you. In my experience, I have when something is failed on the Internet Explorer, it just closes the browser and then another test runs with another instance. But the problem that I faced is that when you log in to your when I log into the site, to the test site, and I have a session, for example, user session, and when there is a problem with Internet Explorer and it fails, so the other, when it starts the second time, you have the same session, so you have to quit always. So for it, I just implemented workaround to just quit every time the browser runs, to quit the application, because Internet Explorer just does it, not properly.
Hi, my name is Nikita. You told that you had experience with Selenium Grid and Google Chrome and Safari and Mac. I want to ask, do you know some tips or some issues with using Safari and Mac, for example?
Separate what?
Safari with Mac OS.
I asked this question. I asked David about this. Currently, Safari is not supported.
Yeah, nothing changes, right?
Yes, and what is supported is a WebKit engine, and it's almost the same in Google Chrome and Firefox, but definitely it's not 100% the same as Safari, so maybe some special JavaScript will not work as the same, but fortunately it's not supported now.
Okay, thanks.